there is a second situation which deserves some attention. It's when facing the same situation in front of you, you can use different mental models. The paradox, you don't have any. In this situation, ambiguity, you have a choice, and sometimes you're not at ease with that. It's like a strange feeling. How? Ambiguity. Of course, this is a famous image. It was proposed by Wittgenstein, and in this picture you can see a duck, you can see a rabbit. You have many images like that, but they illustrate a situation which is in the end quite often met. Ambiguity is not the exception. Ambiguity is sometimes, I'm convinced, nearly the rule. Everything on the world you can see on different angle. So it's not an exception. And you'll see how it leads slowly to creativity. Ambiguity is, let me give another example. You see this? I'll ask you to perceive. What do you see? Probably you will say this is a window. And probably you see this window with an angle, in perspective. Fine. Now look exactly what happened in your mind. The first step is in intuition, like, okay, looks like a window. The second step, you go into your mental models, your database, because since you were a child, you have seen thousands of windows. And so you have a database here with lots of windows. And strange enough, not a single one in your database match with this picture. Not a single one. So, two options. Probably, if you answer this window is in perspective, it's a way to match the image with your mind without changing your mind. But there is another way to look at the window. Hey, maybe this is the shape of the window. But therefore, you need to update your database. You see the choice. You see the choice. Either you change the way you look at the world and you say, okay, this is a new kind of window, or you refuse to do it, and then you have to move the reality in order to allow this matching process. And the way we are, all of us, we are convinced we have all information, and sometimes it changes the way we look at the world. If you have this next exercise, if I ask you, what do you see? Probably, and if you're under pressure, definitely you will see, okay, on the right side you have two cubes, and on the left side you have two prisms. Think twice. You know why? Because on the right side, under the cube, you can have a prism. And on the left side, under the prism, you can have a cube. And now you're a bit angry on me. Say, hey, now. Yes, it is a possibility. This image can be understood on different modes. One is easy. And about the brain, many things are said. Probably the most important characteristic of the brain, it is lazy. If there is an easy way to understand, you can count on your brain. And two cubes, two prisms, next slide. Now, you have to resist a little bit. Say, maybe I can see differently. There, yes, a prism is possible on the right side, under the cube, etc., etc. Imagine this is your world. Look at your competitor. What do you see about your competitor? You are exactly in the same situation, a little bit. And what will happen is exactly like with this exercise. Your brain will see what your eyes don't see. Your brain will build what is not accessible for your eyes. And since the brain is lazy, of course, the brain will go for an easy solution. Creativity begins when you resist the easy solution. This image is not ambiguous. No, an image is never ambiguous. An image is what it is. If we have this feeling of ambiguity, it is because here in our mind, we realize there are different ways to understand. Ambiguity is not in the world. Ambiguity is in our mind. And I will spend 30 minutes next lecture to show how ambiguity is not something to avoid. It's something you should embrace because it's the royal way to creativity. Let's take some other example. Very easy. What do you read? The cat. Now look at the letter HA. They are the same. It's not a problem for you because there are many laws of perception, and of course you cannot isolate. One item is taken in a set of other items, and it's a problem for nobody. But of course the letter is the same. Look at this one. If I ask you under pressure, what do you see? 12, 13, 14. Nobody's going to tell 12B 14. Now look at the next one. Here, what will be people answer? A, B, C, D. Not D, A, B, C. Nobody will tell A, 12B of A, 13C. Now, A, B, C, so obvious. Now, if I do this, look. In the middle, it's exactly the same. So it shows that, in a way, this character is ambiguous. I can see a B, I can see 13. But look, the way you function is the way you function constantly. Let's go for an easy option, an easy solution. The easiest way. Creativity is when you try a way maybe more difficult, but with a lot of hope. I can have another example, completely different. It was taken a long time ago in a book. It was used in Africa, so it's a very old book, 80 years old, and I've found it. It's a picture of a family. If I ask you, where is this family? You have at least two answers. It can be in a house or in front of a house. What is interesting, in this particular book, there is no house at all. The woman carries a bag on her head. And suddenly, you see this image on a third way. There is no house, no window, no wall. It's just a bag. Hey, and you get the message. You see the world, you see this picture, a bit like it is, but a lot like you are. In Belgium, in France, in some countries, you connect a family with a place to live. So when you think about a family, you include in the process, without deciding it, this house of this place to be. And you have this answer, you had like the wall, etc. But when you connect the family with the wall and with the house, it's nearly too late to have, in this particular case, the correct answer. You have many images like that, just to show how prudence is required when you look at the world. And I'll convince you that this ambiguity situation is really an opportunity. How and why is it connected to creativity? Just a little metaphor. The real message is going to be the next time. If you look at this picture here, and two little pieces of wood, I will ask you to separate the pieces. First reaction, this is impossible. I need a lever to break it apart. Think twice. Not think twice in the end. Look at it twice. Look at it in another way. And I'll show you another way to look at it. And now I go backwards. It was impossible. It's not impossible anymore. Because, what happened with the explanation, you broke an assumption. And of course, when we see a line in a wall or in a furniture, a line, we assume there is a 90 degrees angle. In this particular case, it was not. So creativity begins when you challenge assumptions. Assumptions. It's done for today. We understood now, and we understand exactly how perception works and the danger we face when we think. We will next time understand the deep nature of creativity. But just to leave you today, 2 final exercises. Look at this one. Can you read it? Probably you see like be creative, but you forgot my message. Resist easy solution. Look. Of course, this is not a joke, but with a smile. And the other one, that's a good way to leave you today. Isn't it extraordinary? I hope you enjoy this first lecture on applied philosophy for business. It's completely scrambled and you read it. So can you realize the power of your brain? We're going to use it next time.